All right. Hey, everybody. This is Kenya from Kicking It with Kenya with Louie P, doing our entertainment discussion division of the show. And today's show we will be reviewing is the most talked about show right now and the number one show on Netflix so far. Still?
As of the moment of this recording.
All right. It is Cobra Kai. Yes, Cobra Kai, the show that I have to mentally prepare to watch. I can't just watch it, Louis. Like, I really have to be in a mindset of knowing that there will be moments I will be mad and I'm gonna have to sit through not being vindicated.
Really?
Yes. I just know like this show just gets my blood boiling, It's not a show that I could throw on RuPaul's Drag Race, Housewives. I could throw on even Sex Life and all of that stuff. And I could sit back and I could watch it. And, I could maybe go on my phone a little bit, and just leisurely watch it. But with Cobra Kai, it's you kind of just, what? No, what? Good. It's just no. And it's oh my God. It's a show that just is not something that I could watch and think that I will have good enough sleep, or if I'm going to sleep, to go to work the next day. It's just not one of those shows.
So why is that?
I think you know why. You know good and goddamn well why. I just get sick and tired of them damn LaRussos. Man, them dang LaRussos just be pissing me off. And it's just where everybody else seems to be learning we'll get into it, but it just seems like everybody else be learning lessons and there'd be some minor growth, but it's it just takes so long for this family to just grasp it, minus the wife. I like her.
I see.
Why you me?
Well, let's start off at the beginning. So let's start off with the newest addition to Cobra Kai, with the newest addition to the Cobra Kai universe, Terry Silver.
I liked his character.
Coming back to play this character after so long, and all that he adds to this show. So what did you think of him and his addition?
I liked him, and I kind of liked that it was a subtle. He played his role with subtlety. I knew something was going to be up. Now I think I kind of noticed it around episode 5, but initially he came in seeming really unproblematic. But I even wrote down in my journal that I'm oh, for once somebody is saying the things that I was thinking, because at first I'm all right, Cobra Kai season 4 is coming out. I'm excited, but at the same time I was thinking, okay, how long do they think I'm gonna care about this karate drama? It's when you're in the universe, you're in it. You're oh my God, this is crazy. But then when you step out of it for a while, you're wait, it's a bunch of teens in karate and, these old men who just stuck in this time, did anybody, do anybody move past it? So when Silver came on, and even when he apologized to Daniel, he's listen, even his famous line, which was, I was hopped up on cocaine, terrorizing a teenager. It wasn't that serious. It wasn't that deep. And it's the mindset he had in the beginning. I thought finally somebody was the voice for us adults who's watching this, thinking, yeah, y'all are really still holding on to this 30-year-old beef. Stop it. But I did like his acting and his subtle nuances. Looking back at the episodes, you kind of see the little cogs turning with Silver, You saw them kind of turning, even when he said everybody has a weakness. And you could just tell he had a bigger plan, and it his character was something that elevated the plot bigger than what it was just Kreese, Daniel, and Johnny. It's all right, we're elevating, we're expanding, it's a franchise. And then also touching on little things I want to get into, PTSD. They don't talk about Vietnam enough, because they clearly suffered in that war.
Yeah. Well, I think that the addition of Terry Silver is interesting because he's such in Karate Kid 3, he was such an over the top villain, and he was so animated and so crazy. And they brought him, they added layers to his character in Cobra Kai. And I think it's interesting because you don't really, at least for me, it's like you get to a point where you're watching it and you see around episodes 5 and 6, where you see Kreese kind of feeling a little overshadowed by Terry and a little jealous, if you will. And when he wants him to fall back in line, and then you see Terry kind of like what at the moment you may think is having like a breakdown, going crazy of like in your mind, where it's just like, wow, he's really scared of Kreese, so he's really like he's really
Indebted to
taken
him.
by this. And then when you see how everything wraps up, it kind of leaves you in a place where you start to think back to like, well, was this all part of his elaborate plan? Like, where did it start? And then it I feel like it does even better on rewatch because of that. Because when you rewatch the season and you can watch it knowing where his arc is going, you really start to see certain seeds that he lays or certain things that he says that kind of just feel like a subtle dig at what he's actually planning and how he was in control all this time.
Do you
And I
really think it started at the beginning though? Because I thought his plan, at first I thought him coming on was initially what it was, which was him in a different mindset, thinking about the kids. You know, I thought that, and like him thinking of, all right, we got the strategy, the tournament. I thought his deep-seated plan kind of came in a way when Kreese kind of sunned him. And that's when he kind of remembered, like, you're my weakness in a way. I took it like that's when his plan started.
Well, I think that his plan in terms of winning the All Valley was always there.
Yeah.
Like Terry Silver with the kids was always different than Terry with Kreese when he's just talking to him. Like I feel like his plan with the kids and all the things he was saying to the kids, I feel like, you know, he wanted to win. And as he said to Kreese, if we win, Miyagi-Do has to shut down and Johnny Lawrence is going to rue the day that he left Cobra Kai. So I think that, you know, the way that he manipulates people is what makes that so interesting, because where you got what you came to and where I got what I came to, I feel like there's interesting thoughts for it could be like either way or somewhere in between. You know what I'm saying? Because it's very hard to read Terry Silver. Like Kreese is very one note as a villain. Like he's very like, he doesn't really have larger aspirations other than my dojo's the best and we're gonna beat the Miyagi-Dos. Whereas Silver, he's thinking about expansion. He's like he had the whole presentation mapped out. He has, you know, he got gear that he's shipping out to all these new possible students, and as soon as they win, then it's, you know, oh, we're franchising.
Yeah, I think
all over the place. I got some people that's gonna hold it down. Like he adds so much where going into season 5, I think it really, like, I feel like going into this season, a lot of people were wondering how he would fit. And going into next season, I think about it and I say, I don't know how they really continue this if they didn't bring Terry Silver in.
Because it's like if he would have came in on the same type of time Kreese was on, then how would the story elevate if we're all a bunch of angry people still stuck in 30 years ago and we don't have no plans of getting over this? Like going back to your point about Kreese, I think even when they won the All Valley, when Kreese grabbed the trophy, it looked like he was ready to retire and hang it up. And then here come Silver, we're going to expand. Like Kreese looked like he was in that moment, like, like he did not have no real plan past crushing Daniel and Johnny, because I think overall he just wanted Johnny to crawl back to him.
Crease's plan was to win the All Valley. That was his goal. Terry Silver's goal and his plan, the first step was winning the All Valley. Once that's done, that just puts things into motion so he can map out what he wants to do. And I feel like that just adds so much interest and intrigue going into season 5 and where they can go with the plot, where they will go with the plot. And it's just so much of where at one point, myself probably feeling like, how are they going to continue this beyond season 4, to where when season 4 is over, it's like, oh, I can't wait to see where they're going with this. And they hook me in a way that just adds more of a dynamic other than we're training to beat them and they're training to beat us. Now it's and obviously things that happen with other characters adds, even more to that. But just speaking on Silver and Cobra Kai, I really feel like Thomas Ian Griffith coming back as this character, I feel like for me, he was the MVP of the season.
He was.
He stole the season, and I think he's the best villain in the Miyagi universe. I mean,
I love how you keep referring to it like universe, like we're about to get a bunch of different spinoffs or something like that.
By now it's basic. It's a spinoff of a franchise, but it's pretty much a whole Karate Kid universe now.
Pretty much at this point. Yeah, I don't know. I really did enjoy him. I think he was and that's the thing about this show that is really good, and it is the writing in this show. Mm-hmm. Like, I would never say any parts of the show was bad, and I will never say there was any filler. It's like even at moments where it was calm, things just tie into each other, and it's like the characters' arcs just develop in a way that it's just hard not to want to hone in and focus on. It's all really good. Even the characters I loathe, that I hate, you got me to hate you. That means your acting is great. Like, your acting is great. If you could get me to hate you, you committed to it. Like, it's hard to commit to a role where everybody don't like you.
Well, let's go through some of the characters. Let's start with the kids.
Oh God,
I like where they took Miguel this season. I feel like I don't necessarily feel he had the best or biggest arc or most to do within the story, but based upon where he was when we met him and what his journey has been throughout previous seasons coming into this one, I feel like they didn't waste him. Like, they didn't really throw him to the side and not do anything with him. But at the same time, I felt like he was really given his proper respect, because in my personal opinion, I feel Miguel is the best out of the kids. I feel Miguel is the best fighter in the show. I feel he's above Robbie. I feel he's above Hawk. I feel he's the best fighter. So coming off the injury he's on, it was really, I wanted to see how they were going to get out of having him win, because I feel like what they were going to build towards was Miguel versus Robbie.
I really thought that. That's another monkey wrench they threw in for me.
But see, then when they got to the All Valley and we get Miguel versus Eli, the first thing I said in my mind was, the story you're telling is Eli's redemption.
Right.
But are y'all gonna really have him beat Miguel? So it intrigued me, because I'm saying I want to see how they're gonna do this. So when they go with the back injury that he suffers in that fight, and him opting, they tease his Karate Kid moment of he's gonna triumphantly come back and finish the fight, but he doesn't do it. I feel like him being so focused on family and being so focused on where he comes from and who his father was, and that what he yearns for in terms of that fatherly love that's been building up all season. I feel like that was a good way to kind of push him out of the tournament at the end, by basically having him kind of tell Sam, like, it's just, what am I fighting for? Right. And I like that. I felt that was a very good way to kind of write his character out of the way, so you can have your moment with Eli versus Robbie. And I think that, going into next season, that's another story arc that I'm looking forward to seeing how it goes, like him searching for his father, Johnny searching for him, and what'll happen there.
I do like that now they're starting to deviate away from it all just being about karate, especially with some of the people who have heavier things to deal with. I like to take this, what I like about the writing of this show, and maybe this is what I took from it. It's, in a way, it's subtly talking about disadvantages people may have and the privileges people may have. And Cobra Kai gets really good at, like, every single time, whether it's Crease, Silver, Johnny, all their advice is valid. All of their advice is valid for those who come from a survival. Damn, my dog is rude. From Butter. from those who come from survival backgrounds, where it's like fight or flight or freeze. Everything Cobra Kai says relates to me because that's my background. You know, my background growing up in the projects, you know, not really coming from much. I'm not poor, but not really coming from much. You know, you have to always wear that attack first mentality on your sleeve, because you just never know what could happen. And you don't got time to be babied or time to, you know, wait for the problem to come to you. You don't have a lot of time for those things. Versus like the Miyagi duo, it's all like patience and the virtue and which is also good to learn how to control and harness those emotions. But it's not really something that we all have the privilege of having. Now, once again, I don't know if the writers are thinking this way when they're writing these type of perspectives or this advice, but it's like it's translating well to me without it being preachy. Like at no point is it saying, yeah, you people who are privileged are wrong. Like it's like none of that. Like you gotta step into the poor shoes and all of that, because it's not like it's pity, but it's kind of like you gotta remember where you're coming from sometimes to get people. And I think the best part in the season for me that represented that a lot was Sam's mom when she confronted Tori. And she rightfully so should have did all of that. Not once did I think she was bad for doing that, but you could just tell the instant she lost her job, her mom's face just looked like, oh shit, I didn't want to go this far. And then when Crease hit her with that, not everybody's as privileged as your kids. It's like, yes, Tori was wrong, but I gotta I didn't know, you know, I didn't know the background the girl came from and all that she had to do, and maybe she's a little hurt, and that's why she's so angry. You know, she is an adult, you know, Sam's mom is an adult, you know, and you as an adult, you have the lens or the maturity to not really be so angry at a child for doing high school stuff, especially when you learn Sam's mom had a moment of rage that led her, you know, when you're young, you don't think about the consequences of your actions, especially when you're coming from a background of something that tore up at your core. And I kind of like that they kind of use Sam's mom as a catalyst, and like her budding relationship, what I think is going to carry in season 5 with Tori, and how she kind of like stepped out her own way to step into the shoes of Tori, like privilege meets those who are not, you know?
Yeah. And I think, again, I think that's the greatness of this show, because they don't paint one side as necessarily being right or wrong. They show both perspectives and they make compelling arguments for both sides from each character. Even a character like Crease, where he'll say some things where, you know, you may not like the approach that him or some of the Cobra Kai people take, but he'll say something that, you know, like not all kids are as lucky as yours. Like where it adds layers to him where he's just not a mustache twirling, ha 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 type evil person. You know what I'm saying? Like there is real care there that he has for a Tori, that he has had for a Johnny, that he genuinely means well in toughening up his students for the real world. And the Amanda arc with Tori is one of the bright spots in this season, because it adds the layers to Tori other than what some may see as just a psycho person for Sam to overcome, like how she was used as in the last season. Whereas in this season, you get like a little bit of you get a little bit of more of an understanding as to why she's so angry. And Amanda saying what she said makes sense when you look back at, you know, you have the moment in the season where her and Daniel are talking to Louis' sister, and she says, and she's doing the analysis on them, and you see Amanda getting frustrated. What are you writing? Like, we've always saw Amanda has a little spice to her. I mean, she slapped Crease, you know what I'm saying? She went up to his face and smacked him. You know what I mean? So Amanda we've seen that from Amanda. We've seen she has a little bit. Now, she means well when she's doing what she's doing, but we've seen that. So I feel like her having sympathy for Tori and wanting to help Tori, I feel like is is exactly what Daniel LaRusso's mentor
Relax.
would preach. Miyagi would want that. What Daniel tends to preach, we get into Daniel's character as well. What Daniel tends to preach is something that through his actions, in my personal opinion, he doesn't always necessarily practice.
No,
which
he's
is
just so uppity. He
but that goes
is.
back to the shades of gray that I'm talking about with the show, because you'll have a character like Terry Silver that'll say, you just don't want to admit there's always been a little bit of Cobra Kai in you. That's a fact. Daniel has always been a hothead who, with his actions throughout this whole series, has strike first. Even like when it comes to his kids getting in trouble, and he's so quick to, well, there needs to be, this needs to happen. I don't know what happened, but Anthony isn't responsible for any of this. Or
You don't even got the information.
Strike first, because you don't know all the facts yet, but you're running with your assumption based upon previous encounters you've had with bullies and you've had with Cobra Kai. This all started back in season 1 when Daniel jumped to the conclusion that Johnny had illness in his heart when he reopened Cobra Kai. This man went in so far as to try to get the whole mall's rent doubled just to get Johnny to shut down. Like, that is the definition of striking first.
The biggest strike first for me was when Robbie came to Daniel, or I guess, or however he ended, I forgot how he ended up with the LaRussos. And you went to go tell Johnny about Robbie, and then you saw Johnny with Crease. I don't give a fuck what it was or what it looked like. Put this karate shit to the side. This is this man's son, and you're not going to tell him that his son, whose mother left or is homeless, is with you. Like, I feel like, dude, you are so irrational right now. This is about grown. What did you want somebody to tell where your kid was? Like, even if he chose to do whatever he wanted to do with Crease, he's over here like, I knew you wasn't gonna change. Yeah, I'm gonna bring this down. It's like, we're not talking about karate right now. Like, this is his son. He deserves to know where his son is. Like, what are you talking about?
And we see how quick Daniel is to kick down Johnny's door when his daughter is at Johnny's house and Daniel doesn't know what's going on. And he just, wants his daughter back. You know what I'm saying?
And think about how even Johnny did that scene. Just relax. You're a little too upset right now. You just need to calm down. The kids had, I'm going to let you in. He didn't even say it's like, get out my door. He said, I'm going to let you in. I just need you to calm down. You kick in his residence. And mind you, think about it like this. When Johnny went to his house, Johnny just waited in the backyard. He didn't come in your house. And see, that's that privilege I'm talking about. You don't respect what you view as lesser than. Because who are you to kick in somebody's door? When Johnny came to your house, he sat in the backyard and waited for you to see him. And then you came outside. Then the wife invited y'all back in. You just have no respect, but yet you think that you're like this moral high ground.
Well, see, that's the interesting mentality that has been passed down to his daughter, because when his daughter...
No accountability and bratty?
Well, I mean, yes, that too. But the mind frame of not really respecting someone that you view as lesser than, because when we get past the PTSD arc that Sam had in the 3rd season,
which I don't understand,
to all of what they go through in this season, we get to the point where you have a lot of fans or a lot of people that, may dislike Tori, and
I like Tori.
And they're Team Sam, but their reasonings for why they dislike Tori have to do with, well, I can't get mad at how petty Sam is this season when it comes to antagonizing Tori at her job or striking first at the prom, because of everything that Sam went through with Tori and everything that Tori did to her. Now, Tori did a lot of shit to Sam. Yes, obviously, again, there's shades of gray with everything here. But we go back to that mentality because it was Sam's mentality of that judgmental, privileged mentality that led Sam to making an assumption off Tori that got their relationship off rocky when they first met.
But she really made that assumption because she assumed something was going on between her and Miguel, right? That was before.
No. She
Oh,
assumed that Tori stole her mom's wallet back
oh
in
yeah,
season.
No,
She
but
assumed,
didn't she see like something with her and Miguel? And then like when she saw Tori at the club, I thought she already had like a preconceived notion. No, that's not what came first.
no. That they met later at the roller rink that
Got
season.
it.
But when they first met at the country club, she made that assumption based on the fact that Tori had swiped a bottle of liquor to drink with Aisha. And when Tori and Sam met, that's when Sam, Sam had to, oh, you should put the bottle back. You shouldn't do that, da 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 da. And when Sam's mother's wallet went missing, they do the scene where she just looks at Tori and she gets that assumption in her head and then goes to confront Tori about stealing it. That's based upon what? That's based upon you having it in your head what type of person she is. When the biggest irony in that moment is the type of person that you Tori as being is the type of person that you're with Robbie, or the type of person that he was. And it was his friends or his crew that he used to run with that actually were the thieves, that actually were the people involved in this. And then when it was revealed, then what happens? Did Sam apologize to Tori for that assumption, which could have prevented all of what happened between them when they next met? No, of course not. Because Sam doesn't feel Tori's worth the apology.
Just like I don't like how you're talking about you shouldn't steal. But did you say anything about your friends who did a hit and run on Johnny's car, or the friends that was picking on people
in the back seat and she said drive off?
That like you, and that's the thing, that like that mentality of when you think you're equal with someone, you talk to them as if they're a companion or something. But when somebody's lesser than, you got to do that finger wag. You shouldn't, and da-da-da. Just like your dad do with Johnny all the time. Like going to this season, I didn't like how when it came down to Johnny learning Miyagi-Do and Daniel learning Eagle Fang, I didn't like how Daniel was talking about Eagle Fang. I don't care if something doesn't date back 100 years ago. You don't know what this did for me. And the fact that he still has this mentality of, oh, you strike first. You never even sat down and have a conversation with Johnny to understand his background. He was in an abusive home with that rich dad, and he didn't have a father. You didn't understand what that did for him. So what? Something don't date back 100 years. You don't know what that did for him, and the structure it provided him, and the comfort in the home. It did something right. Look at these kids. These kids love him. So it's like the way he just kept talking about it. Like Johnny was talking about Miyagi-Do, but you could tell Johnny put 100% in trying to learn Miyagi-Do. Versus Daniel, you could tell Daniel at first, even when he was learning it, yeah, I see your little Eagle Fang. It's like he just talks or acts so condescending, and he doesn't put himself in other people's shoes well. But mind you, people who are less fortunate do it way better than you, like Johnny does, like Miguel does, like shit. Hell, even Robbie had a better arc this time around, because usually Robbie was working my nerves the last 3 seasons. Because he just felt like a little gnat, like you're not part of this main story. But and his wife, I don't get how you're married to someone and nothing about them rubbed off enough for you to see that you're coming off. Even when that scene when she said, he was like, yeah, she was like, are you really going to fight him? What happened? How did we get here? And he's like, I just told him to let me take the reins. She said, I'm assuming you said that to him and he didn't take it right, huh? Like, because you're talking to him like he's 12. This is a grown man who taught his kids well, won the All Valley, and like won the All Valley. You forgot, like, and also you're not even respecting Johnny enough as your inside man. Who do you think knows Crease better than Johnny? Who knows Crease better than Johnny? Like, and you're just not even going to respect his opinion, even if he is Eagle Fang / Cobra Kai. He knows all the moves. So don't you think that if you got out your own way or phrased it a little better, y'all could have came up with a beautiful combined technique that could have made you both win?
Well, see, and that's the thing with Daniel's character that I guess is kind of the thing that frustrates some people. But the thing also is Daniel unlike his daughter. Like, I think the biggest difference between them is Daniel will be quicker to apologize or admit being wrong about something. And the only time you really see him get rattled, it has to tie in with the trauma of what he went through in the original movies. Like, he was really rattled by seeing Terry Silver, understandably so, with everything Silver put him through in part 3. He was rattled when he saw the Cobra Kai logo in the beginning of season 1. Understandable when you go back to what all he had to deal with. And then he was just so quick to naturally, instinctively strike first, because in my opinion, that's just how he is. But as things begin to unfold and he begins to see things, it may take him a while. Sometimes it may take the voice of reason, that is his wife, to kind of put him at ease, or maybe he'll have to see something work a certain way before he gets on board with it. But once he sees something, or once it's pointed out to him, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's something that he's willing to go with, which is what I think, even though sometimes it just may take a while for him to get there, it's something that's good about his character, the dynamics of how that works. But I feel like what worked well about him and Johnny this season was the fact that through the past, Johnny and Daniel have had this rivalry, which has bled into their students. And that has kind of been at the forefront of the last 2 seasons. Whereas with this season, the thing that I think that they did very well, which is what I think didn't make it as bad to witness Johnny. And one of my favorite moments in the season, when Johnny and Daniel had their fight, their rematch. I think it was, I enjoyed that rematch. But I think that what I liked is the fact that this time the senseis didn't get along, but the kids still did. You know what I'm saying? So it wasn't like Miguel chose Johnny and he's not effing with Daniel, or none of the Miyagi-Dos, and none of the Miyagi-Dos are talking to none of the, no, they're all still friends. They're all still communicating. They're all essentially the adults. They're all like, guys, we want to learn both styles. You know what I mean? The kids in this season were the adults, and the adults were the ones we were waiting for to play catch up. So right. When they make good at the All Valley, that's when we're looking like, finally. That's when you see, the moments that Samantha shines to me is when she embraces the character, in my opinion, that she always was. When I've seen people say, I like that Samantha is aggressive this season. And I'm like, she's aggressive every season. She's just not that in front of her dad. She's always little Miss Good Girl, innocent in front of her parents. This season, she wasn't. This season, she spoke back to her dad in ways she never did in the previous years. And then her parents saw firsthand the type of person that she was when it came to her and Tori. When we see how Samantha LaRusso is somebody that, and it's one of the things that I just dislike about her character, she's somebody that likes to victim blame, despite the fact that a lot of these issues that she's upset about were self-inflicted or were started by her, and she doesn't even realize it. So when you see her say something like, when she sees Tori at the party, and you see her say something like, oh, is this part of the story when the princess, when you stole... We
stole the prince from the princess? She's like, the princess wasn't dating the prince at the time.
Yeah, no, because the princess was, buddy holding hands with Robbie, coming after ignoring Miguel all day.
And even that, like, why? It's like her lack of self-reflection. Mm-hmm. Did you not remember the time of events? You broke up with him. Mm-hmm. Like, what? Like, it's like the accountability factor just be missing with this girl.
And then you get to the prom fight. Where, she has her moments with Robbie of, you think I broke your heart? Well, you broke my heart too. And at least for me, it's like, what? When you cheated on him? When you never admitted it? Like the only reason Robbie even found that out is because Tori aired you out about it. Like, those are the type of things where it's not just, oh, they're teenagers, they make mistakes. No. It's not that. Because if you go back to that mistake, a little off this season, but if you go back to that mistake, and you go back to, well, Sam wasn't the only person that cheated. Miguel cheated too. True. But how did Miguel handle
He
cheating? What
told
did
her.
Miguel do the second after they kissed at that party? Miguel was the one that you saw have a look of instant regret. Sam had a look of waiting to be validated for what just happened. It was not until she saw Miguel looked upset about it that Sam looked upset about it. Post that kiss, Miguel was going out of his way to find and apologize to his girlfriend for what he did and own up to his mistake. Sam did not. Sam had the chance to do that at the locker with Robbie, did not. Because again, Sam throughout her stories and throughout her situations, every time she gets in trouble, daddy's money gets her out of it. She apologizes to
Just
her
like
dad.
what Tori said in episode, what was it? It was episode 1. Tori said, all girls like her have to do is show puppy eyes and smile and say sorry.
Exactly.
That's it. That's all they got to do, and then they get what they want.
And that's where, when I see a character like Tori, I resonate with her. I relate to her character more, and I end up liking her character more because there's a raw realness to her character. So when you see Sam's mother, have empathy for Tori and want to help Tori, and even explain why she's going to help Tori to Daniel, and Daniel have a moment of reflection of, we'll never know unless we try to help her, like Miyagi would want. And then you have Sam going to meet Aisha and talking to Aisha, and she
that
still
whole
runs
moment
with this mentality, well, even beyond that moment, but she still runs with this mentality of, yeah, Tori sold my mom some sob story. And it just comes off like, bitch, you don't got no real world issues to really worry about. You a rich, privileged ass kid driving around in a Mercedes, and you don't have nothing really to worry about because mommy and daddy is always taking care of everything for you.
And that goes back to when the therapist lady asked, when your kids get in trouble, she said, do y'all actually follow through with it? And they all look kind of like, yeah, exactly. Where was the follow through? There's never no follow through to nothing. Nothing that happens with your children. Your daughter ran into a car. I think that punishment was a week. Like, oh, and then even when the boy was bullying Kenny, Kenny all fucking crazy. And, I'm sorry, bud, you have to be, why are you apologizing? This is his punishment. He put milk in his locker. Like, he put milk in his locker. He took his clothes. He was a real bully to him. And you going up there saying, I know this must be tough, not having your screens and stuff. Where's that anger? What happened? Because this is the funny part, right? Because when you first came to that school, I hope these kids are held to the highest standard as punishment. But you're not even holding your kids to the highest standard of punishment. You checking on them like this is like it's one night into his punishment. And you're over here checking on him like he's some lost puppy. Would you want somebody to do that with your kids? Check on somebody who's bullying them?
But see, that's why the kids are like that. Because, when Sam got punished in the previous season, in season 1, when Sam was punished for that instance, and she had her run-in with Miguel when she was holding hands with Robbie, that all stemmed from her sneaking out of punishment to go to a party. You know what I'm saying? And the reason why these kids feel so comfortable doing things like that is because there's never no real repercussions for them. Even with Anthony, even after his little moment where Johnny says, you better buckle in because it's going to be where Daniel says, you better buckle in because it's going to be a rough ride, and he breaks the tablet. All Anthony does later is what? Take out the garbage and say, I'm sorry.
I'm sorry.
And,
he might be turning around now. He took out the trash. Like, what?
That's what I mean. These, and that goes back to me, in my opinion, that's not necessarily me saying or thinking that Daniel and Samantha are bad parents or intentionally trying to be bad parents. I feel like Daniel, coming from where he came from as a kid, and now being in a position to give his kids a lot of what he didn't have when he was growing up, I feel like that's just a father wanting to give his kids a great life, as any father should. But I feel like a lot of those lessons that Daniel learned from where he came from and from being in the positions that he was in, molded him into appreciating what he has and being where he's at more than if he was just given it. You know,
But I
even
also
learning to
don't
fix
feel
the
like there's a
car.
level of not appreciation, but I feel like he didn't learn humility along the way either. Because if you really want to talk about a strike first, a real strike first, a real one that set this whole series on fire was when Johnny had to go in that dealership and get his car fixed. And all he wanted to do was just get in and out. Here he go, Johnny. And then what he do? The kick, he taunts him, he does all of this stuff. What you been up to? Don't worry, I'll write it off. Like, you're doing all of this smug shit when you could have just sat there and said, good seeing you, and kept it pushing. You didn't grow. You still that stunted little boy from years ago. Because this man, and it's funny because as much as Johnny was an alcoholic, and yeah, it definitely ate him up to lose. He didn't come in there on that type of time. He came in there to get his damn car fixed and wanted to leave and bounce. And even when he was talking to you, he's just like, all right, like, all right, what do you, but you kept going on and on and on. That was the real strike first. Miyagi taught you all of this stuff, but it's like he didn't really channel it. And I think the biggest metaphor to him letting go of Miyagi's values, and I think I told you this before, was when that Miyagi-Do was the one he built in his house was full of storage. And once you filled that up with storage, your kids never learned the value. Never. Like, you didn't teach them. And I don't like how all of a sudden with Miguel, you want to take him to learn how to do cars. You want to take in Robbie and teach them stuff. Why don't you clean your own house up? You want to take these underprivileged children under your wing, not realizing that the real toxic people that started all of this crap is your kids. Because Sam was best friends with them bullies that was messing with Miguel, that made Miguel run the Cobra Kai in the first place. So it's
No. Sam was best friends with Aisha and then cheated on Aisha to try to impress and become best friends with Yasmin and Moon, who and was dating Kyler,
who said she was sucking dick in the movie theater.
Yeah, exactly. Who bullied Miguel, Hawk, and all of them into Cobra Kai, and Aisha included into Cobra Kai.
And the funny thing that kills me is she could have easily explained away all of this to her father when he was like, them Cobra Kais. You knew all the people in Cobra Kai were the geeks of the school. Why can't you just tell your dad that? Oh, wait, because I'll be admitting that you were one of the popular kids that made fun of Aisha. You could have just told your dad that. All the kids that are in Cobra Kai are literally the losers of the school, Dad. It's not the same anymore.
Mm-hmm.
You could have said that, but you never said that, because then that would mean you would have to admit some sort of fault of your own. Because why is Aisha in there? I thought y'all were friends. Remember, she never explained to them how they fell off at first.
Yeah.
But you never took accountability.
That whole dynamic is what makes this show work, because everybody has, and we see that whole, what we just explained, bringing it back to season 4, we see that whole cycle replaying now with Kenny and Anthony. So now we see this innocent kid, Kenny, who's just making Pop-Tarts and just dancing and minding his own damn business. And then we see Anthony be the bully to try to impress a bunch of friends that
his kids don't know nothing. They're not confident at all.
And that's what Cobra Kai teaches. But I feel like that cycle is just so interesting because it really happens and it makes sense. And it's something as to where, going back to season 4, when we see the moment where Kenny just takes all of the bullying that he went through from season 4, and Anthony, who has kind of wisened up a little bit to what he was doing.
He ain't wisened up. He just did the motions.
Went through the motions, but at least was trying to, for the second time, trying to apologize to Kenny. And it was just too far gone at the moment. And then culminating at that moment where he goes in the locker room to try to make amends with Kenny, and he catches some hands.
I'm so mad Robbie broke it up. I was so vindicated. Finally, I'm like, them LaRusso, somebody put the pause on them real well. He was like, body shot. I rewinded it like 3 times. because I was just so happy because he deserved it. He needed it. He needed to beat his ass. He just needed to beat. I wanted him to get a face shot so bad. I still didn't get my moment. Like, I wanted him to get a face shot. I wanted him to duff him. I never wanted a kid to be beat up so bad. I feel so bad because I'm an adult. But he deserved that ass whooping. I mean, he seriously deserved it. And I don't even think Robbie disagreed.
Yeah. And I mean, I think going back to some other good points about season 4.
It was kind of like the same love when Hulk beat up Kyler.
I knew you were going to say that.
Hulk was beat up.
A little more vicious.
Hulk was vicious.
A little more vicious. Yeah, he let his anger out. But I think, again, that'll be another interesting story we'll watch play out in season 5 and see where that goes. And I think that using that cycle as a catalyst to kind of bring Robbie back to a level, I mean, I want to say level-headed character, because I think he was the most level-headed he's been since we met him in this season. But I think using the darkness that we see starting to form in Kenny as something Robbie sees, and he's like, I don't want him to go down this path, and that pushes him to an understanding with Johnny. I think that was the most, dare I say maybe the most beautiful moment of the series for me.
I do too, because honestly, I literally wrote down in my journal, I was like, I feel like everybody's having conversations with the wrong people. You know, like there was good conversations that were being had. And I think one of them, I want to say, what episode was it? I'm trying to think. It was an episode where Danny went to Rob in the store. And I think I forgot what was the conversation before that. But I'm like, instead of you going to Johnny, you went to Rob. Like
that's when Samantha and Danny walked in on Amanda and Tori at the house. And then Danny wanted to know why you're helping Tori. And Amanda says she may be a lost cause, and then Danny says, we'll never know unless we try. And then that leads to Robbie.
Oh, here you go. He said, I'm breaking the cycle, but doesn't listen to daughter, just goes to Robbie. Yeah, it was when Sia, yeah, like I gotta break the cycle. All right, but handle your immediate bully. You didn't have that conversation with Johnny. You want to have a conversation with Robbie again. And I feel like there was so many monumental conversations happening with the wrong people that if they had it with the right people, it would have fixed everything. And to have that moment with Robbie finally talking to Johnny, I'm like, yes. Y'all needed to make up already. Maybe not make up, but y'all needed this moment where y'all both cried.
Well, you finally get a moment where, because deep down, you want to see them make amends. You want to see them, come to this understanding. And I personally, I want to see Miguel and Robbie kind of, I don't even want to say dead their beef, because I don't really even think
they gotta give us a fight.
Well,
give us one.
It just adds interest as to where this is going to go, because there's so much that they can do with this. But I definitely think that what we got this season, when it came to certain conversations and certain culminations of so many storylines, I feel like was very well done. And I feel like season 4 of Cobra Kai, as great as season 1 was, and I liked all the seasons, but I think season 4 is probably my favorite season. I think season 4 has been the best season of Cobra Kai.
I think it definitely expands upon the storylines a lot. And I think even before I was talking to you, at one point, I just feel like it's funny how the ones who are still in this karate state of mind, like Samantha's over here crying, we did everything. And even in that moment, we did everything right, but we didn't win. I feel like Danny could have took that opportunity to once again teach a life skill. Like sometimes you do everything right, but you don't win. That doesn't mean you didn't do your best. Sometimes you just don't win. Or he could have showed how he handled losing or whatever. But instead, it's like you didn't do any of that. You're teaming up with Chosen. And it's like, you're not teaching her again. Another teachable moment you could have had. to teach her something to humble herself a little bit and understand that some people sometimes got the drop on you. It is what it is. But he don't teach her that. Instead, he got to try to figure out a way around it. And no. It's like, this is why your kids are so messed up. But the ones who are privileged enough to still think about karate, which is Daniel and Silver and Sam, they can think about karate all day. Y'all don't really have real life problems. But the real life problems are starting to creep up with everybody else. Tori has her own shit going on. Robbie's having a breakdown right now. And they don't even know Creases in jail, especially Tori, because that's like a father figure to her. They don't even know Creases in jail right now. Johnny is definitely going to have mixed feelings. I don't care what nobody say about Crease being in jail. I wouldn't be surprised in the next season, he visits him or accepts a phone call or something. Because whether or not Johnny want to admit it, there is still some love there for Crease. And then on top of that, Johnny got to worry about Miguel, who done left, Robbie, who's back. Like, these people who are like, quote unquote, like having worse off, they're like worse off. They don't got time to be sitting here training. We got other shit to worry about now. Y'all could go have this karate shit. I don't know if I could do this right now. Right, real life is hitting me.
Yeah. And
I kind of like that because, like you said, it is 18 under. These kids are not about to be 18 forever. So what we going to do? Just throw them away?
And I think that, you know, before we wrap it up, I think that a couple of shout outs are in order for some glow ups this season. I think Dimitri
definitely had a glow up.
An annoying ass character. I feel like he, you know, respect. You know, when we go back to the All Valley and we get the demos, we get the katas, the wood breaking, the weapons, and we get the matchups. You know, I think Dimitri deserves a little love. You know, Dimitri bagged Yasmin, made Yasmin more of a likable character, Dimitri more of a likable character. And I feel like Robbie versus Hawk may be, dare I say, the best fight in Cobra Kai. Maybe like the best one-on-one fight that we've seen in Cobra Kai. Maybe even eclipsing Miguel and Robbie from season 1. I feel like they had stakes. I feel like Robbie and Eli had great stakes, and they had two different dynamics where it could have gone either way. And I was happy with the outcome of Eli winning, and I was happy with how Robbie took the loss. Like, I was happy it didn't like make Robbie like the hate-fueled character. I like calm Robbie. And I feel like their fight scene was one of my other favorite moments of the season, along with Johnny and Daniel's one-on-one fight that they had. So, you know, I feel like there's some shining moments there. And I also feel like, whatchamacallit, one other aspect that I do like, because I have it in my notes here. One other parts that was one of my favorite. I enjoyed the moments where Johnny and Daniel actually were getting along. Like in the first few episodes where Daniel's training Johnny in Miyagi-Do and Johnny's training Daniel in Eagle Fang, and you know, you got your Nobi there, and you know, you get your moments where they're having family dinners, and you know, Carmen and Amanda are here, and I actually like those moments where it's no action, no bickering, it's just bro shit. You know what I'm saying? I hope we do get to see more of a Johnny and Daniel being cool dynamic in season 5, because I don't feel they don't really have no reason to be beefing right now. You know, so I feel like that was another thing about this season that I really enjoyed.
Hey, you got to say Silver on that list because he was enjoyable to watch. We got to shout out Dimitri's suit, his Pac-Man suit. That suit was fire. That suit was fire. I don't know. It is fire. I don't know. I guess things that I liked. I don't know. I just love story art. I just love the writing. Overall, the writing is just great. And I do like how they used Sam's mom. I really do like her in this season. And I hope to see more of her interaction with Tori in the next season, because you could tell Tori's starting to appreciate it a little bit, or at least respect it. Even when she sat there and said, I promised your mom I wouldn't hit you. Like, she didn't have to say that at all, especially since she got back in school. But I think now at this point, she's saying it because she's realizing that this one person outside of Crease is not out to get me. This person cares about me a little bit, despite what I've done. And I kind of like that they're starting to have that bridge between them two. I don't know how this is going to play out with Sam, though. And I feel like, going back to your point about how Robbie and Miguel, I feel like Miguel, even though they never wrote this, I think he has the mentality of, I think secretly he knows there will be a time he has to interact with Robbie. You can't think that your sensei is always going to be your sensei, and there's not going to be a point his son is going to come around. Yeah, they're beefing right now, but I think the Miguel character, we can give him a little bit more credit. I think he's more open to talk to Robbie. And I think seeing how Robbie is now, he might still be a little butthurt about it. And maybe they just need to have a fight. But I also feel like Robbie will be in a place to kind of get past this. Now with the storyline, but then I kind of slow. Do you think there needs to be a season 6?
It depends on how season 5 goes.
Before
season 4 came out, I would have said, I don't think there needs to be a season 5. But after seeing season 4, there needs to be a season 5. So it depends on how we got to see how season 5 goes.
I thought you had a question for me.
I do. If you lived in the area, which dojo would Kenya Clark choose? Eagle Fang, Cobra Kai, or Miyagi-Do?
Fucking love Johnny. I feel like if I join Eagle Fang, I'm secretly doing both. Eagle Fang and Cobra Kai. Because it's Johnny. So I feel like I get 2 for 1.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I might be with Eagle Fang, but Cobra Kai got some good ass gear.
No love for Miyagi-Do.
No, because once again, I personally wouldn't have, I would relate to the teachings. I'm thinking about the perspective of where I was when I was that age. Mm-hmm. And it would have I would have resonated more with Eagle Fang, Cobra Kai, more so than Miyagi-Do.
Understandable. I would have probably got lured into Cobra Kai. I probably would have been there.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'd be evil or if Crease would push the darkness out of me. Well, who knows? Crease probably wouldn't like me.
But is it really the darkness in you, or is it just protect yourselves? And you know, because even with Crease, when he describes his perspective, he said, how do you think I feel seeing my student with a black eye and his spirit broken after he already been in a troubled home already? So it's kind of like, is it really the darkness in you, or is it just, you know, pull out that, you got to protect, like what Silver said, the best quotables, even when he was talking to Robbie, you have fear in you. Whatever it is, you have to go address it, or else it will just consume you. Facts. For real, it makes sense. But what's your other question?
That's my only question that I got.
Really? That was it?
That's because my other questions was revolving around the LaRussos, but I feel like we kind of addressed all of what we needed to address with them.
Anthony, a little shit.
We could leave that.
All right. Well, this was our first Kicking It with Kenya entertainment discussion division. Please remember to like, follow, subscribe, leave a comment, tell your friends, your sister, your mother, your brother, your cousin, whoever, and give us feedback. This is our first one. Did we do good? What would you add? Let us know. What would you want us to talk about next? Let us know that in the comments too. You got anything to say, Louis?
Let us know your opinion on Cobra Kai season 4. What you think about it. You team Cobra Kai, team Eagle Fang, team Miyagi-Do? What you give us your thoughts on season 4.
I feel like Cobra Kai is so swaggy that you can't help but like him a little bit. All right. See you until next time. Peace.